and see what's going on. There we go. Allegedly, we're making an episode right now. Let me get out here and see what's up. I have this annoying thing happen, so I like stream it just live to me as a human.
Okay.
But when you do that, you actually have to like go in there and say that it's you want it to be like shareable in public. There we are.
Hang on. You got on this calendar event, you've got cleanpowerwash@gmail.com, Jerry S. Fernando, Bobby at TRT Home Services.
So we might get bombed. We might get splashed in here by Bobster. I don't know. He hasn't done it in a while, but the Bobster, I have Rob Anderson and Bob always have an invite to come on and just BS and guest host. Rob will usually come on and drink a beer. Not usually. I'll say like a third of the time. He's like, just whenever he'll just pop on and be like, I got questions. I want to talk to this guy. And Jairus is my producer. So like as a courtesy, hey Jai, we're making an episode. I like him to be in the loop. You know, it's good for your producer to be in the loop and know. And frankly, I'm terrible at telling him what I'm doing and what's up. So the least I can do is like have him on the invites, because otherwise I'd forget to tell him that I was doing a thing. So just trying to keep
That's awesome.
Well, home service homies, if you don't know, we got Curt Kempton from Responsibid here. He's in the house, and if there was a time of year, hold on, I gotta put my phone charger on my phone thing because it's the battery's going dead. But if there was a time of year, and I've been talking about this the last few episodes, so I'm not going to cover, but I do my like 1 month off of drinking just to make sure that I can do that. You know, it's like good to make sure. So tonight is just straight up milkshake night.
Hang on.
Who else would you have a milkshake night with besides Curt Kempton? Cheers, Curt.
Cheers.
I was lucky enough to both be able to raid my wife/kids ice cream stash in the freezer. So that's gone. I just polished that baby off. I'm also lucky enough that I have a 1-year-old in the house who drinks whole milk like I drink Busch Lights. I mean, this kid just goes through like bottles of whole milk like I'm going through cans of Busch Light. And my wife is on this like I won't call it a diet, but just very intentional eating plan thing that has like a workout and eating plan, which is great because it just like, especially when you have 3 kids, so much of your mental capacity gets spent trying to figure out what the hell you're going to have for dinner.
Yeah.
So she's just got this like plan laid out. And part of it is in the morning, you have various like protein shake milkshakes. So I also had those, the Samoa, the Girl Scout cookie, like Samoa thing.
Yeah. The best one.
There's a milkshake protein powder thing in my house with that flavor. So I got like double vanilla ice cream raiding the kids stash, raiding my 1-year-old's whole milk, raiding my wife's Samoa. I'm at the top of my game. Who needs?
I gotta say that is an exciting milkshake right there. Very, very good.
If every time I have a sip, you're just gonna see me go like, like I'm just gonna be making those noises. I'm just so satisfied.
I made a peanut butter chocolate one, and I'm feeling very substandard now.
Dude, but you can never go wrong with peanut butter and chocolate at the same time.
It really is a good pairing. It really is.
It's tough to beat, man. Well, how the heck you been? I've been like super pumped to talk to you for a long time. Just catch up. When we first went live, you were like, what are we going to talk about? And I was like, everything.
All right.
I don't know. This might be an episode of Seinfeld. We might talk for a long time about nothing. It could be great.
Yeah, that works for me. At this time of night, I'm usually winding down, maybe watching an episode of The Office or something.
There you go.
So, like, you really got me a perfect time to talk about anything because
your brain is free. Your brain is free.
Yeah.
Well, good. Then we're just going to get into all the weird stuff. Actually, right before we went on, I was just thinking how my beard gets long, and then whenever I'm like live, I'm always scratching it a lot, which is always weird. But then I also notice if I like line my microphone up perfectly, there's more gray. It's this side. This side has like more gray. It sticks out farther. And I'm like, and I notice it. Like when my beard gets long, it's not that I don't have beard here, you guys. I'm just turning into Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more over here. Kind of like Bobster has his like white spot up here.
Yeah.
A little bit more white stuff over here. It's just weird.
I've noticed a few things. I got a silver spot showing up.
Oh,
there's a silver circle showing up right here.
That's some cool wisdom.
There's some weird stuff going on. Like, I'm getting old too. It's a crazy feeling to be like, why do I still feel so young? But I'm getting these like sure signs that I'm not young anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you and I were talking about that on Voxer not too long ago. Like, I'm not old, except everybody around me is really young, and therefore I'm like starting to realize that maybe I am old. And why does my back hurt? And what, like, why if that thing is rolling away from me, can I no longer catch up to it?
I've got teenage kids, so I'm keeping up on the slang. They hate it when I use the slang. I'll be like, hey guys, let's spill the tea. Come on, let's talk about it tonight. Or I'll be like, I don't know, that's super bougie. Or I'll say something, and they're like, Dad, stop it! I hate it when you do this. So what do? Of course, I'm gonna just do it more.
Oh yeah, you're gonna do it so much more.
Period. It. They hate that one.
What's that? What did you just say to me? What was that?
Period. It.
What does that mean?
It's period with a T at the end. It basically means that's it. Period.
It. Got it.
Period. No I. You threw an I in there. It's period it.
Well, that's really obnoxious. That's more obnoxious than period it.
Yeah. Well, the one that really sends them over the moon is when I'm like, dude, why you gotta be so chuggy? Or if you're like talking about their drip, their clothes, you're like, dude, your drip is so chuggy. That just sends them over the moon, and I love it.
Dude, I can't wait. I got 7, 5, and 1, and so like they still think I'm cool, right?
Yeah.
But there's going to be this period of time, and I think I'm going to overdo what you're talking about to a very high level. I'm going to go really hard at that. Sounds fun.
Yeah, man, you've got a lot ahead of you. It's good times though, for sure. Oh my god!
Like, what better way to make them cringe than to use their own stuff in front of them?
And in front of their friends. That's the best part. When when Justin has his friends over, I'm just salivating to just do all sorts of this stuff. He's 15, almost 16 years old, turns 16 next month. Actually, his birthday is always during ResponseCon, now Home Service Workshop. So he feels like he's not had a birthday for the last 5 years. But I just love embarrassing the heck out of him, man.
I can't wait. My kids haven't done enough goofy stuff yet for me to hold against them, but I have I should really be keeping notebooks of all the stuff that I'm going to use once they get a little bit older. I'm sure it'll all come right back to me. We got Justin Noggle checking in. He says, see you guys at the Home Service Workshop. Bring your running shoes.
You know what? I've been thinking about this, Justin. If Justin's still here, I'm considering something. I'm not a runner, but I do walk 5 miles every morning. And I'm thinking it would be fun.
If you run it, you're done faster, right?
Yeah, I know.
You just get done.
I use that 5 miles to talk to like everyone in the company, just reach out, do stuff. Maybe I'll catch a quick podcast or something. 5 miles takes me about an hour and 15 minutes or so. So you can get a lot done in an hour 15. Anyway, my thought is what if we did a morning walk every morning of the Home Service Workshop, where it'd be before the whole thing starts, maybe like get up at like, I don't know, 5:30 or something, go for a walk. If people want to go. Yeah. But I like the idea of starting the day with a walk.
I dig it. I mean, I think that's what Justin and I did last year. And like, usually you see like small groups of people like going for a run, but I'm like, well, let's get this damn thing over with. Everybody like, let's wrap this baby up. How fast do we need to go? And then like shortly thereafter, I'm like, okay, everybody slow her down now. Pump a plot haters.
I hate to bring up this silver circle on my head again, but yeah, that's my problem.
Maybe that's the thing, is you're just wise enough to know to just walk it. That's our boy Brant Thurgood says, hey friends, what's up, Brant?
What's up, man?
Tyler Starkey in the house. These guys are trouble. Only one of these guys is trouble. Let's be honest. And we all know that it's Curt. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Because like I'm like a wide open book. Curt, super nice, funny, says the right stuff at the right time, really polite. Clearly, he must be hiding something, folks. That's all I know. Clearly, he's got to be hiding something. No, nobody's as good as Curt pretends to be. That's all I'm saying.
Now Dan is speaking truth, and I hope you guys are listening.
Justin says he's in. He's got a 7-year-old daughter coming too. She's gonna run. That's gonna be really embarrassing, just getting waxed by a 7-year-old.
Dude, that's the other thing about walking is that when you walk, it's hard to get waxed, you know?
Oh, yeah. And especially then the kids kind of have to run to keep up because they got them short legs.
Oh yeah. You remind me of Disneyland. Yeah, that's true.
I'm a fast walker too. My wife hates it. She's just like, stop. She's like, you have short legs. Why are you walking so fast? I'm just like, I don't know. I just don't like to be in one place at one time. What if somebody's trying to flank me? I don't want nobody flanking me.
Moving target.
Brand says we're doing the home service 5K.
Oh, yeah. He's talking. Yeah, there we go. And 5K, anyone can walk a 5K. It's so, it's so easy. Yeah.
It is a great way to start a morning too. Get the blood moving. Like good chance to talk to some other business owners, see what's going on. He says it's Kurt's Ragnar training.
So we're doing Ragnar. Brant and I are doing Ragnar together. Gosh, is it March?
What is give us what are the metrics of Ragnar?
Okay. I'll do it the way Brant says it. Okay. Brant's like, it's like this really fun thing where we all walk together and we hold hands and it's we drink a lot of fun drinks and eat together and sing Kumbaya and I'm like, Brant, that is not what Ragnar. That's not what I've heard Ragnar. No, it's so sweet, fun. We gotta get the team. It's a ball of laughs. And I'm like, that's not a very good Brant voice, by the way. But Brant has a soft.
Yeah, Brant did say "wow" to that.
When I get there. So Rachel, my wife, and I are both doing it with him. And the thing is he's going to bury me. I just know that like there's like 10 really important things to know about Ragnar that I know nothing about. And when I show up, Brant and his team are going to bury me.
Cole Sickafoo's checking in and says he can't walk 5,000 miles. Which brings me back to, is it the Pretenders or
I would walk 500. It's 500 miles. I would walk 500 and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. There you go.
Yeah. So I don't know where Cole is going with the 5,000 miles, but he can't walk that far. But it did make me think of that song, The Proclaimers. That's
Proclaimers. Thank you.
And here's a really good ironic Proclaimers moment. I should probably like write those dudes a letter to let them know what happened as a result of their song. But at my wedding, not during a month period where I was being sober by any means, I was the exact opposite of whatever that would be. And it was like me and some buddies, and it's like it's the only people that are left at the end of the night, and they're playing that song, and we're all like dancing together. And I was signed up to run a half marathon with a buddy. But when nobody can stand up straight anymore, Dan, I don't remember if I stepped on somebody's foot or somebody stepped on my foot, but I had the worst. I'm like a prolific ankle roller. I'm one of the best ankle rollers and sprainers of all time. Like, dang it. My entire high school football and basketball career was like, I hardly ever practiced because in between games, I was always rehabbing my darn ankle, which is probably why I just wasn't that good because I just didn't get to practice that much. But sure enough, the Proclaimers were talking about, walking 500 miles, and here I was signed up to run. I couldn't even run because during their song, I broke my ankle.
During the song. That is irony.
It was worse. Brant did confirm you're doing the Ragnar in May. Put it on the calendar.
It is on the calendar, but I keep hoping it doesn't like come up.
Chad's calling us names for running a 5K. Come on, well, show up, Chad. Show up. Show up.
The thing is that I know there's Chads out there. Actually, that's like a thing, right? Like Chads and whatever.
Karens. Is that the male version of a Karen?
No, I think it's actually the cool dude guy. But I know there's guys that go out there and run. Dan, I think you're one of those guys that can like bust out any day of the week a marathon. And
what? No, I can bust out like 20 push-ups.
Okay. Sometimes I can do that too.
I don't know if that's good, but that's about the limit.
I know that there are so many guys out there that are so athletic. And when I got married, my wife was marrying a guy who was trying to be a pro mountain biker. You were a
biker. You were kicking cars in and stuff. You were such a hardcore biker.
Dude, you remember. Yeah. crazy story.
I was only like 20 bush lights in when you told me that, but it's a steel trap up here.
Yeah, see, that's like nobody's as nice as Curt. Well, Curt has some stories. But the thing is that as I've gotten older, what I really have learned to value is what feels good in the long term. And I've already impressed the only girl I got to impress. My wife is impressed. And when I take my clothes off, not to get too crass here, when I take my clothes off, she still calls me a big hunk of meat. So I'm good.
Now, if she says that, I could see that as like a term of endearment, as like when you're younger and fit, and then as an insult as you get older and less fit. So just be careful. Just be careful.
No,
it's what she says. It might be how she says it, Curt. Just to
it's the way it comes out. I'm still getting the response I want, and so walking 5 miles is keeping me at like all the things are in line. Like I'm putting out the amount of effort I want. I'm getting what I want out of the physical part. I'm getting the romance that I need. And so the thing is that my wife can never see Chad with his shirt off, because if that happened, that might change everything. But for now, like it's pretty good.
All right, Chad, the challenge is on.
No challenge.
Oh, I thought you were challenging him to take his shirt off. All right. Well,
no, my wife can't see that.
All right. Well, home service workshop. Chad's invited anyway, but leave your shirt on, Chad. Leave your shirt on. He said, "Bring it to Texas." Bring it. Bring it. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything.
Even hunks of meat. Chad says no one wants to see this with no shirt. So Curt, what I know we're gonna get to the event coming up. Is it late February or late January, right?
Late January. Yeah. Last weekend, January. Yeah.
Same. Is it in the same hotel / casino resort last year that I almost got kicked out of? Okay, so they still have a picture of me up on the wall.
Yes, there's a picture of you on the wall. You know, I said something to you that following morning that I want to make sure I say here. I'm going to say it now. So for those that don't know, like little backstory, Dan was like walking around with a cooler of beers, giving them out to anybody who wanted them.
Yeah, my
The hotel is, of course, it's a casino in Arizona. So, of course, it's on an Indian reservation in order to, because it's illegal in Arizona. And so we're on a sovereign nation. They have their own laws. They have their own rules. They're very strict about it. Like one of their rules is if you're in the casino area, you have to wear a mask. Like just to give you an idea, it's like you don't have to wear a mask anywhere else. But if you're in the casino area, you got to wear a mask. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Dan gets in trouble. Like I know from buying the food at that casino, they're very incentivized to follow their food rules. Like if you didn't get it here, you can't have it kind of thing. So anyway, and I'm sure alcohol made it special too. So Dan gets in trouble. Dan comes up to me. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I hope you're not in trouble with these people. I legitimately have done this in every other hotel. No one's ever given me an issue with it. And I'm like, Dan, no one's come up to me and really said anything. I can't control other people. They know that. It's cool. But I do got to tell you something, Dan. For a guy who's always got a beer in his hand, it just struck me in that moment. I have never once seen Dan acting drunk, losing inhibitions. I was just telling this to Sean Day the other day, actually. I've never seen him have that buzz on where he's like, Dan, are you okay, buddy? You're with us? And I've been to a lot of conferences. I know what drunk people look like. It's very clear to me when I see someone who's kind of gone over that tipping point. I don't think I've even seen Dan approach that tipping point. However, I would say that probably 85% of the time that I've seen you've got a beer in your hand. And
maybe it's not actually beer.
Well,
I mean, most people would argue it's not because it's Busch Light, and they'd be like, "Yeah, it's not actually beer."
Is that like just a step up from water? Then is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like sex in a canoe. It's fucking near water, as they say.
Okay. Well, I just thought it was so ironic, and that's what I told you. I was like, they probably didn't say anything to you because you were in no way intoxicated.
Yeah, just doing my thing.
Yeah.
Chad says Minnesota and Wisconsin people have beer for blood. I do. It is
mini soda.
Wisconsin. I do like when people ask me where I'm from, I still say like, well, I live in Minnesota, but I'm from Wisconsin because when I say Wisconsin, you're like, oh, that guy probably drinks crappy light beer and loves cheese curds and brats.
So we know who you are.
Yeah, it's like if I said I'm from Minnesota, like it doesn't have exactly that like northern redneck of a connotation. It's saying I'm from Wisconsin. Like when you think of Wisconsin, you just think of like, oh, you're one of those like northern redneck hillbilly dudes. Whatever. That's kind of how I view us from Wisconsin, and I like that about us. Like I'm proud to have that. So I like to say I'm from Wisconsin. It helps you understand where I'm coming from.
I'm just going to admit right now, maybe you guys will take my man card for this. Probably gave my man card up minutes ago when we were talking about the Ragnar, but I don't know sports. I don't really know sports at all, but I know for sure that in Wisconsin, the Green Bay cheese
dudes.
Yeah. Well, there's the team, the Green Bay.
I know what I'm just letting you. I just want you to.
What is it? They have the hat and the finger, right? Like there's a finger and the cheese hat.
Yeah, they have the cheese hat.
Okay, so anyway, there's a football team that's famous.
I think the Packers is what you're looking for.
That's the one.
Which is funny because like they're not cheese Packers, they're meat Packers. Serious, like it's the meat packing plant. It's the meat Packers.
So as a guy who doesn't, now you know for sure, I don't know anything about sports, but I know that football team, the Packers, is like the most beloved team. Like if you bring up the Packers in front of someone from Wisconsin, it's like it's the socioeconomic parallel. That it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, or
it doesn't matter your political beliefs, your religion. Everybody's like, oh, Packer fan. Yeah, that trumps any other disagreement we would ever have.
Yeah, I love you, and you can have the shirt off my back as long as you're not Chad.
But I do. That is funny because I recognize the same thing, and Packer fans are just weird about like it will be July. Football will not even be a thing on anybody's mind, and yet you can be anywhere in the country, and you like a Packer fan will still be wearing a Packer jersey. Nobody else for any other team would be like walking around repping a jersey or a hat.
Their outfit, like they have like 4 or 5 shirts, and like out of those 5 shirts, 4 of them are Packer shirts, probably.
The joke in Minnesota that we hear a lot is like, man, I kind of hope the Packers win another Super Bowl so that you assholes all get a new sweatshirt. Because like every Packer fan ever has like the 2 sweatshirts from the Super Bowls that they won the last 3 decades. So
have they not won recently?
2010 they won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
They should with the teams that they had, they should have won a couple more or at least been in a couple more, but many would argue they underperformed with the roster that they had. So
that's
a little bit of a downfall. But let's talk. I want to get to the event and talk more about that, less about me getting scolded. By although that was funny. I felt like I was just like in a Scooby-Doo movie and they were like trying to find me, but I was going in one door and they were going to the other door. Felt a little bit like that. Except like they have a security camera on every door. So
oh yeah, you're at a casino, you're gonna lose.
Which Rob Anderson and I did find a way to navigate that situation, and so we're fine. We're fine.
Okay, good. Good.
Navigate just fine. Which and it's like this in any public scenario, which is you just need to have the same beer that they have. As long as you have the same beer that they have no way to say that you didn't buy it there. It's just like it's the silliest thing.
This is it right here. Yes.
That's how you do it. Actually, the best way to do it is to buy a couple beers from them. So they're like, oh yeah, we saw you buy a Coors Light. Man, I can't believe he's still drinking that Coors Light 8 hours later. Guy's really milking a beer. Which hint, that's part of my secret is I do always have a beer in my hand. I don't drink that many beers throughout the day. It's a bit of a prop. Which is why I have the koozies. I got to have the koozies because if I sit and hold on to that beer for a half an hour, because you know me, I'm going to get talking. And then when you're talking, you're not drinking. And so not to say like I don't go through a handful of beers, but I'm holding on to it for a while. So a koozie is very important. There's a reason that I always have koozies with too. It's a strategy. It's a whole strategy thing. Let's talk a little bit about Responsibid, and then we'll get to the live event stuff too. Tell me a little bit about Responsibid for that. Maybe do a quick intro in case somebody listening or watching doesn't know who Curt Kempton is and doesn't know your background. I know you got some window cleaning chops and then some software chops. Obviously, give us a little background, and then let's get into what's up at Responsibid.
Okay. All right.
This is a thing that I do where we talk for like 30 minutes and I'm like, hey, why don't you introduce yourself? It's just total pro podcast hosting. You can't make this up.
The thing is it's the Dan Platta way. You just ease into it. It'll happen.
Yeah, we'll get there. No agenda.
Well, I already said that when my wife married me, she thought she was marrying a guy who was going to be a pro mountain biker. And then we started having kids and I graduated from college, and I realized that mountain biking was not going to be the career of choice for a family man. It was not conducive to it at all. So I read a book.
How good were you at mountain biking? Like what's the ranking system? Were you a top 100? How would you know?
No, I wasn't even on the ranking. I was basically just moving into semi-pro at the time. I was doing 24-hour mountain bike races. However, one of my favorite things is that the greatest 24-hour mountain bike racers that I have ever met or know of, his name is Tinker Juarez. He rides.
His name is literally Tinker.
Yeah, he's from South America. Yeah,
that's pretty sweet, dude. He just sounds like a gearhead. Sounds like he's just always fixing something.
Yeah, well, no, but he is either sleeping or riding. He's either sleeping or riding. He's the fastest solo 24-hour mountain bike racer ever. Anyway, I was at a 24-hour mountain bike race, and I was on a duo team. So it was me and one other guy doing the team. And my light halfway through a lap just went out, and I had no lights and in the middle of the night. And up behind me comes this dude that's coming up pretty quick. And I'm like, oh man, whoever this guy is, I got to get on his wheel and ride, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to see. So he gets up, he comes up, and I, don't know exactly who it is. And as soon as I hop up on their wheel, it's Tinker Juarez. I'm like, holy mackerel, this is the greatest 24-hour mountain bike racer in the history of mountain bike racers that have ever lived. Rode on his wheel.
And I'm going to draft him for a while.
Yeah, I did. And mountain biking drafting is not so much a thing because it just doesn't work. But
yeah, I was going to say, because you both die.
Yeah, you need a little bit of space. But I got to the end of the ride. Now, granted, I was riding duo. He was riding solo. So take that for what it's worth. Like a guy who's got someone to trade laps with and he doesn't. So maybe it's not that impressive to you. But like riding with him was amazing to like watch his lines and to all that. So get to the end of the race. The race ends at noon. So it starts at noon and ends at noon the next day.
It's just how far did you go in that?
How many laps did your team or you solo put in over 24-hour race?
How far is a lap?
About 16 miles.
Okay.
This was in Moab. So I get that I was getting ready to finish, and for our team, we had decided that we were gonna that if my lap came in early before noon, I was gonna stop short and not cross the line until afternoon, so that we wouldn't have to do another lap. My teammate was done, so I said, okay, cool. I'll make sure I don't cross the line. So I go up to the place, and there's a bunch of other people who've pulled over on the side. They're doing exactly the same thing. And lo and behold, there's Tinker Juarez. And by the way, Tinker Juarez is like, oh gosh, maybe like 5'2", like he's super short.
Oh, dang.
So I walk up to him, and as we're standing there waiting, he was doing the same thing. He was waiting. I said, hey, Tinker. And of course, everyone knows Tinker's name. So he's like, hi, what's your name? Hey, nobody. What's up? And I said, I just want to take a minute to thank you for getting me through the lap last night when my light died. He said, oh, that was you? And I said, yeah. And he said, cool. I started trying to drop you because I was playing with you, but you hung with me. So then I'm like feeling really good. Yeah. He's like, no, seriously, who goes out on a lap without a spare light? He like chastises me like a mother. So anyway, if I was going to ever become a pro, obviously I was still lacking some fundamental common sense.
You would have had 3 lights. You would have had 2 spares with, and then you would have been like, hey, Tinker, if your spare ever goes out, I got you, dude.
Yeah. It was kind of weird to have this pro mountain biker chastising me like my mother, but anyway,
scolded you like you were bringing your own beer into a casino.
Yeah, that's exactly how he treated me. And then he kicked me out of the race.
Yeah,
no, he didn't. So anyway, that's how it all started. I thought I was going to do that. I read a book on a ride one day, an audio book. Millionaire Mind. Do you remember that book, Millionaire Mind? Thomas Stanley Danko. Anyway, it's a guy who wrote a book about. It's just basically a really dry book about how the makeup of millionaires and decamillionaires is scattered throughout industry and the United States. And his book was really interesting. Basically, the summary of it was, if you own a car wash or a junkyard or you're a fireman, you actually have a better chance of being a millionaire than not. And he said, you probably think that movie stars and athletes tend to be more millionaires. And the truth is, that's not the case. Way more Americans are rich in these industries than others. So he pointed out that people who are at status tend to spend so much that they don't actually ever attain the financial status.
Yeah, they don't actually have it. They just spend it like they do.
Yeah, it's coming in fast, but it's leaving so fast that there's like he talked about Shaquille O'Neal. I guess Shaquille O'Neal one year, like in the very first part, when he first came into sports, they said he made a crazy amount of money, but he made negative dollars by the end of the year on 1 year. So he was literally the opposite of a millionaire. He was like in the red. And that was kind of one of the concepts of the book is if you make a lot of money and you spend a lot of money, what is, net zero. So I'm listening to this book and it's like, okay, low barrier to entry isn't the problem. It's doing what nobody else wants to do. So zigging when everyone else is zagging, right? Mm-hmm. So started my window cleaning company. Told my wife, like, hey, I'm going to change everything here. I'm graduating from business school. I think I want to do this as a business that's like, everyone that says I don't do windows, that was just what kept coming to my mind. So I started a window cleaning company. I was raised to think that salespeople were bad. So I got tricked into it. So I thought I'm going to get an honorable job. And then the first thing I found myself doing was having to sell jobs. And actually,
you're like, oh, now I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I grew up thinking that, so it was. But actually, the irony is the first thing I did was go work for free. So when I decided I was going to do it, I called up a guy in northern Phoenix, it's about an hour drive from the East Valley that I lived in. And I said, can I work for you for free? And in turn, just have you teach me how to run your business. Yeah. You're the first person I found. You're far enough away. We won't be competition. He said, sure. Bought my first trailer from him. He was upgrading. So I bought his trailer, worked for him for a little while. Once I learned how to clean a window, I'm like, all right, I'm going to start a business. So I started a business, then I'm selling. And then I realized, oh, I hate this. This is terrible. I have to ask, I'd be at rich people's houses. They called me to give them a quote. I put magnets on the door, I did all the flyers. You
did the marketing work.
Yep. And I show up and walk around this mansion and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be $300 for window cleaning. And the first time it rains, it's done. They're wasting their money. And so I'm like, now normally this would be $350, but I could do it for $250. And they're like, done. Like, oh, good. All right, cool.
We don't have to have that conversation.
Yeah. And then I just kept doing it and putting myself out of business. So I got that figured out. And then I started doing systemization. And then I just stumbled across the idea of doing an online quoting tool. And from that was born the idea of automation. I became one of Infusionsoft's first customers. It's now called Keep. But it was the first real automation software. And I built my tool on top of that. And I loved it because I started seeing that people would close on really expensive jobs that I thought no one in their right mind would ever buy.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to face an objection. They just sold themselves.
Well, the thing is I would have just lowered the price for them before there even was an objection.
Yeah.
I was so dumb.
Let me get in front of this. Let me just stop you from objecting by solving this by giving you some money back right off the top.
Yeah, just so bad. I can't believe I made it. And if I can make it in business, please, whoever's here watching, you guys are going to do just fine. I'm living proof. You're going to be okay. But I built the system out. It started doing pretty cool stuff. I started to sort of fall in love with the system. And what I was really infatuated with was the concept that people were spending way more money than I ever thought they would. And it just shifted my whole mindset that just give them good, better, best pricing and just watch them upsell themselves. Just watch them give you more money. And I could tinker with the system without having to do the hand-to-hand combat part of it.
Yeah.
And it made, when I did go in-person sale to in-person bids, it just gave me that extra swagger to know that just because you grew up poor doesn't mean that rich people think the way you think. And that's my target market, rich people,
Yeah.
So anyway, fell in love with that. I had no business running a software company. I got my degree in business administration management, not finance or software or engineering or anything.
No boring, nerdy stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know why I did it. I mean, I guess I just did it because I just started feeling like, holy cow, this worked. Amazon and eBay had become fairly big when I started my window cleaning company. They just to test a scenario, people were buying on eBay so much. I actually was riding my bike back behind like an apartment complex one day, and I saw that someone had thrown a kitchen sink into the dumpster, but it had fallen out. So I strapped the kitchen sink to my back and I rode home. And my wife is like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Remember that digital camera we just bought?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I want to see if someone will buy a kitchen sink on eBay." And she's like, "No way. It's for collector's cards and collect." I'm like, "I know, but I've heard people buying crazy stuff on eBay." So I just took a picture and I just wrote, the description was, "Want to say you bought everything, including the kitchen sink on eBay? Buy this sink." And it like starts, I put it up for like $10 plus shipping. And it went for like $80. Like people were just like bidding themselves. They weren't buying the sink. They were buying the like, oh my gosh, I'm going to buy a kitchen sink.
I'm going to buy the kitchen sink.
So, and it was just a stainless steel piece of junk. It was, just to be clear, this was not a fancy sink. So anyway, I saw it and I'm like, my gosh, this online world is really changing. And I think so there's a combination of things that got this all going. I hired a code shop, got involved with them, fell in love with the fact that I was working with other business owners who were also having window cleaning and pressure washing businesses. And before you know it, I had a software company and I sold my cleaning company one day. Okay. So running two businesses, it works really good. It works really good for some people, but yeah, for me, and it sounds like for you, it sucks. It's like chasing two rabbits, man. It's so hard.
It's like the minute you're like, oh, I got a problem I'm going to solve over here. And then you're like, focus, work on it. And then you turn back around, you're like, oh my God, what happened over here while I was looking at this other thing? Like I was only looking at this thing for like 2 seconds. How could this possibly, it's like fishing line. How could it possibly have done what it just did?
Yes. It's fishing line and kids like,
oh yeah,
hey,
kids too, yeah.
I left the room for 5 seconds. How did this happen? But okay. So to give you an idea, we had won the International Window Cleaning Association, the IWCA Professional Image Award. We'd won it for 3 years straight. And a lot of it was due to the fact that we were really embracing technology and building customer journey into our company. So it was getting us a lot of accolades. I was talking to a lot of window cleaners all the time on my super cool BlackBerry Storm.
Dude, like, BlackBerry, man, you were so cool.
Bro, yeah, you know.
Bougie. You're bougie.
Bougie. Let's put it this way. A BlackBerry Storm flat out slaps. Period it. Okay, anyway.
I don't like the period to
no, I hate it.
That sounds like a bad stutter. I think I'm going to throw like 3 T's on it. But period.
I just love the reaction on my kid's face. It doesn't work as good on you, but anyway.
It just annoys me because I don't think I can say it. I think I'd fail.
Well, if you practice.
I'm at practice when we're done recording. Yeah.
So one day I was having like one of my very first support tickets. Like we had sold Responsibid to somebody, and back in those days, Responsibid was just an online bidding tool. Like there was nothing else to it. In fact, I was so afraid that people would think I was stealing their data that we didn't have an interface to look at bids. You could get a quote, and then it would just send you an email with all the raw numbers in it as a SQL file. Yeah. And it was really dumb. But someone calls in a support request. There's really a legitimate problem, and I had to get on the horn with the software people to like figure out the bug. At the same time, one of my techs, we had a few vans out on the road. We'd grown the business, and I was just using the business like a piggy bank to build software. So like business is growing like crazy, and I'm just basically shoplifting the business. stealing from it. And one of my techs calls me and says, "Hey, Curt, the engine started making pinging sounds while I was driving down the highway, and now it won't turn on anymore." And I'm like, no. Did you change the oil like you said you did? Like, because we had systems in place. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I meant to tell you I didn't change the oil last time, and I ignored the alert, so I didn't get any more alerts. So it's probably been a few oil changes. So he blew the engine. So I'm like, oh, awesome. We gotta put a new engine in this van. And I think it was the fact that I'm like trying to figure out this van situation, and I'm trying to figure out my very first support ticket. And I like immediately was like, I don't want to do this at all, because there's nothing more different than a support ticket for software and a blown engine and trying to discipline an employee who told you that he had been doing the oil changes and wasn't. There's so much in there, right?
Yeah. You got a lot. There's a lot of problems to be solved all at once.
So we get the engine fixing, and while that's happening, I just basically took all the numbers out of the business from QuickBooks, and I made a really cool web page that showed the growth of the business, all that stuff. And I said, by the end of the month, I'm taking offers on my business. By the end of the month, this business will be sold. If you're interested, please email me here, and I will send you all the data. But you can look at all the numbers right now. If you're interested, let's go. Mm-hmm. So I got a bunch of people I got a bunch of offers, sold the business, and I just stuck with the software because I can't run two businesses.
I wish, like, you probably told me that. I'm sure other people had told me that. At one point in time, I didn't believe it. I like counted back. I was trying to run 10 businesses at once. What a moron.
You were running 10?
We had, between window cleaning and maid service combined, Blue Skies, because we had, like, I was counting it back. It might have been 9. We had Minneapolis window cleaning, maid service. Those are 2. We had the admin company, 3. We had Cleveland home cleaning. We had St. Louis home cleaning. That's 5. We had Cincinnati home cleaning. We had Cincinnati window cleaning. That's 7. We had Tampa home cleaning. Is it 8? There's another one in there somewhere. We had Portland, but we sold in Portland. Actually, we had Portland home cleaning and window cleaning too. So we had 10. We had 10. I think I don't know if we had them all at one time, but like really close. If we didn't have them all, there had to be a point in time where we had them all at one time.
The way the exponents work, I feel like by the time you get to 4 businesses, for me, you might as well have had 400 businesses.
Oh yeah. It was just I don't know which fire to put out first.
Yeah.
It was chaos. It was chaos.
And at what point you curl up in the corner and just be like, I can't do this.
It was kind of funny, actually. Like I think I just ignored my own misery type of thing. And like I did have like a mental breakdown at one point in time where it was just like, I was just like, there's no winning, right? No matter how good of any day could possibly go, there's going to be something that ruins it because I have so many irons and so many fires. Yeah. And it's just, there's not going to be a day without mass problems. And by the way, one of them, I was the home cleaner in, like, cause we started Blue Skies home cleaning in Minneapolis from scratch. So we had all this going on and I was out cleaning houses all day, every day.
Oh my gosh. You were out doing the work too?
Yeah. How stupid. How freaking stupid. It was just, it was terrible.
I'm shocked you're still here with us, man. That's enough. Better men than me or you have been finished off by much less than that.
Dude, I was just so naive and stupid about it. It just never really like crossed my mind how dumb it was.
Wow.
But I say often, like, I don't regret any of it. Don't regret any of it. Which anytime you do anything really hard, you don't, right? Like that was miserable and hard, but you regret not doing stuff like that. You don't regret doing stuff like that, but I'm never doing it again.
Oh gosh. And that's it, man. So, the saying is that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I do believe that. Also, when you do a really big thing and then you look back, it's just a thing you did. Like, it's not even like, it's not really taxing or like I did that biosphere clean. Mm-hmm. I feel like that took 10 years off my life. It was a restoration project. Really, really really hard job. And I was actually out doing the work with the team at the time and trying to run the residential part while we were trying to figure out this restoration in the middle of the desert. But all that stuff said, we started off by talking about how we're getting old. And I feel like those were really good experiences to have. And I actually would recommend, I hope all my kids have experiences like that. It's really good. But I think that there's a time when it's like, okay, I learned what I need to from that. And now I'm ready to like settle into something that I can do good at every day. And I don't need to be pulled like that anymore. You know?
I did notice, and I've talked about this before. I talked about it on the old Bookkeeping Beer and BS podcast a little bit. I don't know if I've talked about it on Home Service Happy Hour, so I'll talk about it now quick. When I surround myself with like the most talented business owners that I know, oftentimes they have been through some shit, some stuff where I'm just like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Right.
Yeah.
I'm in a CEO roundtable group in Minneapolis, and everybody in the group was running bigger businesses than me at the time. And this is a couple of years ago. And we went around and I was just like, oh my God, I'm just such a pansy ass. Everybody in this room has been through some crazy things, and I can't imagine what that would be like. And this weird part of me is envious and like a little jealous of them, because I'm like, you're just so badass. When like shit gets in your way, you don't even care because you've been through so much worse stuff that this doesn't even seem like anything to you to overcome these obstacles. Whereas if I haven't gone through similar challenges, right, like those obstacles are going to feel so much bigger to me because I haven't been through the turmoil that some of these other businesses owners had been through, just personally in their personal lives, not even in business. And so it seems weird to say, I was jealous of them for like the fact that their parents died in a car accident or something, right? Like just horrendous things. But like over and over again, I see people that have gone through just horrendous stuff. And when you've gone through super traumatic things like that, I mean, like obviously it can have negative consequences too. But one of the positive consequences I see is like the resilience level of that type of person that's been through some really hard things. It's just like,
it's their origin story. It's like the Marvel Comics origin story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they got bit by a spider and now they have superpower.
So maybe in my own naive, stupid little way, the reason why I endured the stupidity that I had created was to try to replicate some of that pain and suffering. So at least future obstacles wouldn't seem as hard, because I just took them all on at once and made myself miserable for a period of time. I'd like to think that it definitely wasn't intentional.
I don't think too far off.
Maybe it was a subconscious way of creating some misery for myself.
Well, actually, I just finished reading a book, Buy Back Your Time. It's the Dan Martell book. It's interesting. He says a lot of really cool stuff in there, but he actually does call out entrepreneurs tend to have ADD, and most of them. Yeah, exactly. And also, most of us tend to thrive or love, even subconsciously, chaos. And we will subconsciously destroy ourselves and do things to sabotage our success. And I'm like looking back on myself and I'm like, yeah, I know it. He's speaking the truth. But we'll bring chaos into our life if things get too non-chaotic.
Oh, big time. Big time. Well, I think we also have like a little bit of a hero complex and a little bit of an ego thing, right? Like, which is what drives us to being an entrepreneur. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think when my buddy Ben Smith and I talk about this a lot, because he's kind of worked his way out of his business, and it has caused him to be less happy because like that was his purpose, right?
The hero side of it.
Well, just like he was the man, he solved all the problems, right? And that was his purpose. And like, you need a purpose, right? And so when you're building a business, like you just always filled with purpose. And he built it to the point where he hired a general manager and he's there a little bit, but he's really not needed. And when he is there, he's just screwing stuff up and getting in the way. And so like, it's been a challenge because all of a sudden, like, what is the purpose, right? Like you had a purpose. Now you don't have it. You have more money, you have more freedom, but like in a weird way, it's not actually what we want. it's like it is, but once we get there, we're like, oh shit, but I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I still needed some more pain and suffering in the meantime.
Yeah. Or it's just, life, the value we get out of life, it's hard for money to compete with the value that life can give you.
Oh yeah.
And so you're right. Like, ego, I often use the term ego to mean something negative, but like there is a psychological term that, you have an ego that needs to be satisfied, and you can have an overly inflated ego. It's also possible to have too small of an ego, but at the end of the day, you do have to feed your ego, and US greenbacks don't really feed the ego that well. I mean, and if you have a really big ego, you can go buy a Rolex and a Lamborghini and a big house and some things, and greenbacks can do something for you there. But the way life feeds you, that making meaning. And I think that as my kids have gotten older, now that I have teenage kids, I have a daughter that's in her 20s now. It's crazy. Like this is happening, but
yeah, you are old, huh?
Yeah. God, just one more example. It's funny how I've just started reflecting on meaning so much more now. Like I wasn't the perfect parent, and there's some things I wish I could go back in time and take back. But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the journey that I was learning and they were learning and trying to be the parent for them that I could have or should have been, it's funny how that just feeds you in such a more substantial way.
Mm-hmm. I've been in like version 2.0 of my bookkeeping business here with doing a fresh start. It's been really fun to be very intentional about feeding myself the right way. A, minimizing distractions of a bunch of other businesses, but B, not growing it. Actually, I had this, and I don't like, this isn't good or bad. This is just the phase that I'm in right now. But I had this like self-realization the other day of, I don't want to grow this business. Not for me. It's not that I don't want to grow it, but I have no monetary goals in this business. Like, is it going to grow? Hell yeah. It's going to grow just fine. But I'm not like, oh, I want to get this to be $1 million business or a $5 million business. I have zero revenue goals. Revenue goals are meaningless to me. What's very important to me is that my customers dictate if they want me to grow it. If people are saying, hey, we want more of that thing that you're doing, then I'm all about it. And I want that to be the driver of the growth, because revenue doesn't mean anything to me. It does not make me happy at all. When I had a bunch of business partners, it put like a weird pressure on me. And so there was some joy in hitting a revenue thing because I felt like I was making them happy to be growing the business, but it wasn't for me. It was for them. Right. And I never realized that, like, my business partners were awesome, like super awesome dudes. It was just like this weird pressure I put on myself. And now that I have it as myself, I'm like, oh, I actually don't care about that at all. Not for my sake anyway. Like, I need to make enough money to go hunting and fishing and drink some crappy light beer, but that doesn't cost that much. I'll be frank, like my wife makes twice as much money as I do anyway. Like, she's the breadwinner in the household too. And so that probably eases the burden of like me putting goals in money terms.
There is a hierarchy of needs, and the foundation is having your basic needs met. So,
and even if she didn't, like, we would be fine, right? Like, we make enough money, but it's so much more enjoyable to me and to focus on the impact that I'm having and the relationships that I'm having and like the customer driven growth and letting them dictate how much I should grow and what my revenue should be. Like, I only do this for them. I don't do this for me. Like, sure, I like it, but the only reason I exist is because I like helping business owners get their books straight and get their finances straight. So it's just this weird realization I had that I'm having a lot of fun, like that being the focus for me.
So what does, like, if we could just dig into that a second, like,
oh man, now I'm getting like interviewed on my own show. Look at
that. Yeah, if that's all right. What are, like you said, you do it for your customers, you do it for them. And if they want you to grow, you'll grow. Like, what meaning are you getting out of your business?
I mean, just where like the happiness comes for me is the problem solving and like enabling that business owner to make that next decision and getting that clarity to invest in this or change their process in this part of their business because they had the data to do so. And so that's like what I live for. I don't live for like categorizing transactions. I live for like getting that business owner over the hump of, especially the folks in like the $100,000 to $200,000 phase that are like looking up at $500,000 and they're just like, how do you get there? Right. And there's a, like, that's the hardest part in business. Once you get to $500,000, you can get to $1 million. Like it's a new set of problems, but you have a little bit of confidence, and the impact of like losing an employee isn't as bad. When you have 2 employees and you lose one, you just lost half your staff.
Yeah.
Like the knee jerks that happen when you're
100 to 200,000 is truly, is that what your meaning is at? So the $100,000 and $200,000 business owner, in my opinion, is the hell that you're trying to get out of. It's just like, it's necessary. It's rite of passage, but genuinely every problem is a big problem because everything's magnified so much. Is that where your meaning is coming, is getting those guys out of that purgatory?
Anybody that's in a purgatory, like, and everybody is, right? They're usually in one of them, because you get through the levels really fast, and then you get stuck in the purgatory. And so everybody's at one, right? Like everybody you talk to that's at $1 million, our window cleaning business is there right now. We've been there for like 2 years. It's tough to get above $1 million. Like $1 million sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. You're sitting like, once you get to 1.4 to 1.5, like you get through that purgatory, but the low 1 millions is really rough. And so like, it's fun working with Andy on that in our window cleaning business and trying to like strategize how we're going to do it and this and that. And I really like the 100 to 200,000 people. And I would disagree with you a little bit. It doesn't suck if you mean to be there, right? Because there's a lot of people not trying to scale their business, and you can do really well. If you're a window cleaner, pressure washer, and you do 200,000 of revenue in a year, you are probably bringing home 100,000 after your expenses, maybe even a little bit more. Once you own your equipment and your truck and that stuff, you can make a fine living. You sure as hell better have a great disability policy, right? But some people aren't meant to grow a team, don't want to grow a team, don't want to scale a business. Maybe they have a helper. Cool, right? Like that is a super noble craft. Go do your thing. Don't feed into all the bullshit on social media and stuff about like scaling your business if that is not the set of problems you want to solve. Because the minute you start trying to scale a business, it doesn't matter how good you are at window cleaning or pressure washing or cleaning houses or epoxy garage floor coatings, right? You're choosing a different job and a different set of problems, and that's not for everybody, right? Having kids is great. It's absolutely not for everybody. Getting married is great. It's absolutely not for everybody, right? Scaling a business is great. Absolutely not for everybody. So don't go through that turmoil if you're not interested in it. But if you are interested in it and you do want to scale and have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks, like getting people through that first one is the trickiest one. And so I do love like the smaller businesses that are like, here's where I'm trying to get. And I know that there's some things that I need to start figuring out. And so just trying to like help them navigate that is a blast for me.
Yeah. So as you're going through getting people through the purgatories, obviously you have to charge for your services. So it's something you probably do it for free, but you don't do it for free. And
yeah, because my wife wouldn't like that.
Yeah. And frankly, the sign of a healthy business is a healthy margin. Like it's just, your business needs to be healthy. Otherwise it's anything that's unhealthy just shouldn't be in your life anyway. But I guess my question is, as you are growing this business and maybe your customers, you get to a certain point and you say that I'm in this zone, maybe it's not the $100,000 to $200,000, maybe it is, I don't know, but you're at this net profit and you're like, man, I'm actually really happy with this. What kinds of meaning or joy do you get out of it? Because at Blue Skies, you had a team and you guys had a really cool culture. At what point, like, where does that fit into your meaning?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like it's kind of one and the same, right? Like you get to make customers' days and you get to make your employees' days. And so it all kind of fits together, right? If you can grow a healthy, fun business to be at some point, like, right, not all the customers get to work with Dan. They don't get to work with Curt, right? So the only way for them to like experience the thing that you want them to feel from working with your company is you need to have the team that makes them feel that same way. And so it's a different challenge, right? Is how do you get the team in place and build that culture. And that's super fun. That's fun, right? And so it's all just about like making the impact again. And I guess to be able to do it right, you, like you said, you need to be able to charge enough. You need to have a healthy enough margin structure. You need to pay your people well. You need to be able to do cool stuff with your team. And there's a whole lot to it, right? Like you need the greenbacks to be able to do that. But for me, I don't set my goal based on like, hey team, we need to hit $1 million in revenue or we failed, right? Like that is not a message that I'm sending. It's like, we need to take really good care of these customers because they want to hit $1 million. We need to make sure they can hit $1 million. And if we do our job right, we can make sure they get there. Right. We need to make sure they're the ones hitting their goals. And in turn, like our business will grow like crazy because we'll be helping.
But when you have 5 employees or 4 employees that are each making 110, 120,000, I don't know what bookkeepers make, but there is a point where if you don't hit $1 million, like people got to go. So, I mean, in your business that you're talking about, it has to just keep growing and maintaining.
Yeah. I think recurring revenue businesses are a little tricky with that. I think because your attrition rate gets bigger and like the dollars of loss every year that goes by gets a little bit bigger, right? If your attrition rate is 2% of your clients every month, all of a sudden when you have 400 clients, that's a lot more clients you're losing every month than when you had 100 clients, right? Yeah. So you do need to keep growing, right? But again, and the growth won't stop. That's not that the goal is to not grow the business. The goal is always to grow the business, but dictated by great product, great service, great execution that the business can't not grow because it's performing the way that it's performing. And again, it was just a realization that I had. I haven't broken it all apart. I love the way you're like challenging it.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, I'm curious because these are like really
you're asking good questions about it. You're helping me dive into it. It's just a goofy, like in the shower moment where I was like, like what's really important to me. I had a weird reflection. Sorry, I totally cut you off, but I'm going to keep cutting you off because I had this weird reflection. I had a weird reflection of when I was at Cargill in my corporate days. I was on like a goofy fast track. I left at the worst time. Like I had some opportunities on deck which I probably left at the best time. Cause if I would have stayed, I would have never been able to leave. Like in the corporate world, at some point you get paid too much to leave.
Yeah.
And they've got you. And I was like at the cusp of like that next opportunity. And it would have been really hard to say no because they would have offered me money that I wouldn't have been able to say no to. Right.
Yeah.
But so I had like senior leadership tagged to me as like mentors. And I was talking to Ruth, one of them, and she was really interested in like what was important to me. And literally my only answer was happiness. That's it. Like, yes, that money plays a role in that, but it's not the end all be all of that. Like experiences are the end all be all of that. And how do you give great experiences to the people around you? And money does enable some of those, but attitude enables way more of it. And if you're creating good experiences for the people around you, the money will show up to create more of it, in a funny way. It's like, you don't need to focus on the money. If you're doing the right things and creating the right experiences, the money will come to create more of it.
Well, I just recently started meditating every morning. I actually was kind of going through it. I was going through just a lot of pressure.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off again. Brendan Horn says, I wonder if they can even see these comments. There's a whole bunch of comments. He said, let's go, Dan. Here, Brendan, this is for you. I'm going to hit all these comments with, let's go, Dan. Let's go, Kurt. Somebody said, same with the kids. Once you hit 3, it didn't matter. So we had 2 more, 3 or 5 kids is the same.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Rob says, I've never been through shit.
Yeah.
So he's never, but he is guilty of something. Brendan was concerned that we're not seeing the comments, and then he said culture is no, that was Steve. Steve just jumped in and I clicked on the wrong thing. He got me. Brendan said culture is king. Now he says love you guys. Ha 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 ha. What's up, Steve Jagman?
I love Steve too. Brendan, Steve. There's some good dudes in here. Rob's here. I don't know if he's still here, but
Rob was here.
some good people.
Okay, I'll stop cutting you off now.
Well, what I was telling
Except
you though
for this
is
one other time.
I started kind of going through some stuff like reflecting on my life. I think I'm at that midlife crisis area. I'm not having a crisis per se, but I am in the midlife reflection. And I actually started doing therapy. Bobby Walker kind of inspired me. He's like, Curt, anyone who's trying to maintain who they are, I would almost say that everyone should be in therapy. And I really took it to heart. I was like, I'm just doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of spiritual reflecting too. Lots of spiritual, family, past, future. What does my life mean? Like I've been going through a lot of stuff. So anyway, I get this therapist, just did BetterHelp, shout out, betterhelp.com.
Yeah,
and
heard good things.
Yeah. I had to go through a few therapists. Like the first few, like just were not going to work for me. But like the third or fourth one I got, he's a Christian, but I didn't know this. You can be a Buddhist monk. You can sign up to be a monk for like a week or a month or a year. The guy I had as my therapist, he was 2 years as a monk. And
just for fun?
Yeah, he just said that he said that he didn't feel like Christianity was really reflective of the whole world. And he wanted to just understand more about what other people believe and have strong faith in.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty like profound.
Yeah. Well, that's actually why he became my therapist, because I've been spending a lot of time. For those who don't know, I'm LDS. So I'm from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I served a mission for 2 years, married to a Latter-day Saint woman, and we've made a family that I love, and I love the principles from it. But I know that one of the things I've been reflecting on in my faith is that one of our doctrines is that everyone will have an opportunity to accept the gospel of Jesus Christ, whether they do in this life or not. But that the spirit that possesses their body in this life is the same spirit that will be in the life to come, and that there's opportunities for people to eternally progress if their spirit is open to finding, knocking and allowing it to open. So anyway, there's a lot of people would say that's a very weird doctrine. I actually think it's one of the things that draws my faith the most. But as I'm getting into this midlife, I really started like kind of questioning, like, what does God expect of me in relationship to what he's expecting of all of my brothers and sisters scattered all over the globe?
Yeah.
And so when I met this guy, I was kind of going through the stress of like, I'm working so hard to try and be the best person I can possibly be. I look around me and I see awesome people doing different things that are also amazing people. And I feel like I'm working too hard to try to meet a standard that I don't think I need to meet. And I'm also looking around me and I'm seeing a lot of people who profess to be one thing, and they're actually the wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing.
Yep. So
when I met this guy, he taught me about. I'm getting to the whole happy thing. By the way, I'm coming for you.
I'm loving the journey.
He taught me how to meditate, and in a nutshell, the idea of meditation is you can see the food that you're eating. When you eat your food, you know if it's healthy food or calorie-rich food, or if it's really empty calories, and are you drinking enough water? You know what you need, and we know enough about our bodies to know what kind of nutrition we really should be bringing in. But our thoughts, if you try to clear your mind, basically no one can go more than like 30 seconds without a thought coming into their mind.
Man, it'd be impossible. I can't go 0.3 of a second without like a new thought.
It's hard. And so what happens is we don't observe what we're feeding our mind. What are those thoughts that you're allowing to be on the stage? You just, and people who are good, I think as entrepreneurs, we have a lot to focus on. So we don't have a lot of wandering thoughts. Well, we have too many wandering thoughts, but
we do.
But probably not spending a lot of time in idleness is my point. So he said the idea of meditation is observe what your mind is eating. Observe the nutrition that you're giving your mind. Just try to be above it in the higher plane and watch it.
Take like a bird's eye view of the stuff going through your own head.
Yeah. Now, that all said, it doesn't actually work exactly that way, but it kind of does.
I like
but
it.
It's a good parallel. And so I really spent some time thinking two things. Number one, am I happy? Am I doing things that make me happy? And so in these moments of meditation, I spend the first time trying to be completely clear. And then I allow myself to just focus on, am I happy? Am I happy with the people I am living with? Am I happy with the people I'm working with? Am I happy with the people I'm working for? Am I happy with my associations? Am I doing projects that make me happy? Like, there's all these different elements of happiness. Mm-hmm. And the second question I've been asking myself is, am I grateful? And that's a deep question too, because do I show gratitude? Do I recognize my gratitude? Do I allow that gratitude any oxygen to breathe? Do I allow it enough time on stage? And the truth of it is that I'm happy, but I don't ever allow myself to enjoy it because I'm always trying to kill something new and bigger and different.
Yeah, man.
And I'm also grateful, but I never hardly show it because, in fact, I reached out to you the other day and I said, Dan, I was thinking about you. Why was I thinking about you? I was meditating. I was like, who are people in my life I'm really grateful for? And your mind just popped in, your head popped in my mind. And I'm like, holy crap. I never engaged Dan to just talk. And it's because it would just be one more thing. I got to go kill something. When in reality, if you're happy, shouldn't you let that come to the forefront? And if you're grateful, shouldn't you let that come to the forefront? And that, I think, is the question, is like, are you happy? And if you're not happy as an entrepreneur, there's really no reason. You can at least always pursue it. It's not like you're like beholden to corporate America telling you what you have to do. Like, you literally get to chase happiness. That's your job.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to dictate the thing you work on today.
Yeah.
To that point, I had one of the guys in my CEO roundtable. He was expressing that type of perspective on his own business. He's like, man, I got all these things that are just driving me nuts in the business. And then every once in a while, I just like pull my head out of my ass. I'm just like, it's my business. Like, if I don't like it, I can just change it.
And
there's so many, like, it's so simple, but so many times we're just like, oh my God, this thing is driving me nuts. And it's like, yeah, but it's our business, so we can just change it.
That's what I liked about when I was asking you earlier. That's what I liked about those questions, is because, like, what does give you meaning? And you, like, what I was kind of getting at is that, like, if building a team who's working as a, like, again, I don't watch sports. For those of you who are just showing up, I couldn't remember the name of the cheese football team, Packers, but I know enough about sports, having played sports as like a high school student. There's a gorgeousness to a team that works together and like knows the move. And that's actually my favorite part of our business, is the ability for us to work as a one unit, very focused on vision and values and what we want to deliver, and to watch the team work together on this big, huge goal that we're working towards. Yes, it's software, but it's actually hearts that are woven together.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very important that my company grows financially in order for me to get all the positions filled. And at a software company, all the positions are like, it's not like a cleaning company where you're hiring laborers. Like, there's a lot of really expensive labor. Mm-hmm. And so we have to grow to fill all the positions. And that has been an absolute joy. And so, I also sometimes reflect on that. Like, am I happy for this, of growing for the sake of growing? And the answer right now is, yeah, I am, because of the culture we have and what I'm able to get from and share with the team in that. But there is a super special simplicity about the idea of having a team that's exactly the size you want it to be, and not feeling that I need to add another player on the field to achieve the beauty that I hope for in the future.
But even in what you said right there, I think you never said anything about yourself. Which is where I think is that's the important thing, is it's all about the team, right? Like, the growth is for the sake of the team and the opportunities and what you want to see them pursue, right? It's like, you already have enough. And so the goal isn't, I need to grow this because I want Curt's bank account to be bigger, right? The goal is like, oh, I'm doing something that makes me really happy. How can I get more people to be a part of this thing so they get some of this, right? Like, I think that's
and actually, as I reflect on my happiness, I actually do, and maybe this is hero complex. It'd be interesting to spend some time reflecting on that. But the happiness that I get has more to do with the creation of an engine of people who live in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the reasons that I am not very customer facing anymore in the business, is because I'm really focused on that internal harmony and radiating that out through a much larger system of people who care and are concerned for our customers.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't care for our customers. It's that I'm sort of enjoying being at the heartbeat level and radiating it out. There's a lot to do at that level, but it reminds me of an analogy I heard about, in your spiritual growth or your personal growth, you start in simplicity, then you move to complexity, then you move to perplexity, and then you move to harmony. So there's 4 layers that you
Those
start
were a
out.
lot of exities. I think you lost me. I need some definitions or something.
So as a child, you need to have very strict rules to know how to make your tribe happy.
Yeah, you got to get those boundaries.
So I can make my parents happy if I don't run around the house with a knife, and if I do ride my bicycle on the sidewalk, and I do come home at this time, and I do invite my friends over, but don't do these things. Like these very black and white way of viewing the world. A lot of people can actually live their whole life in simplicity and be just fine. Mm-hmm. But as we get older, you're almost inevitably going to run into complexity, which is to say, my parents told me not to ride my bike in the road, but I just noticed that guy rode his bike in the road and didn't get hit by a car like I was told was going to happen.
Yeah, and then I got yelled at for riding on a sidewalk by a pedestrian because they don't want me riding on the sidewalk, right? And so
now it's really complicated.
Now I'm supposed to be on the road with this bike, and it seems kind of dangerous, or yeah.
Yeah, so you start making this like fine print. This like you start amending everything that you're thinking as far as like these black and white rules. Those rules are black and white, but you need to add some caveats to it. If you do it in a crosswalk, or if you look both ways, or if you can play with that friend, but if they start doing this thing, you have to stand up for what's right, or whatever it is. Like, so you fine print it. Then you move into perplexity, which is actually where I spend a lot of time here in my little midlife crisis. And that is that
you have by the way, do you have like a sweet sports car yet, or what?
No, no, but I got a pickup truck I think you'd like. It's
heck yeah.
Okay. But what happens is in perplexity, you've got so much fine print that you're balancing that you almost stop second guessing the whole world, and you realize, I don't even trust myself anymore. I don't actually know anything. And a lot of people live in complexity their whole life, and then a lot of people will get to perplexity, and perplexity can kill you because
drive circles.
You lose all faith in humanity and hope, because you're like, these rules that I was taught, they were wrong. I don't believe any of this, or I only believe some of it, or why do they shield me from this harsh, cold reality truth?
Yeah, now all these rules have no. I can't buy them at all. They're dishonest. Like you misled me, so I don't believe anything.
That's the danger of it all, is that the people who loved you the most and set these simplistic rules that became a little more complex, in perplexity, you actually turn on all the people who were loving you and helping you at the beginning. You turn on them and you go, these people hid the real world from me. But as a child, are you supposed to explain to them how politics works and how the chemistry and physics works in real life? And you need to tell them every horror story that ever happened so that they can learn to not trust humanity? Like,
or do you just have Elf on the Shelf in your house?
And you're like, and it's exactly. Elf on the Shelf works for kids. And the problem is when you're in perplexity, you don't even see that. You just keep digesting the world in a way where it feels like this is never going to work. And hopefully people can move out of perplexity into harmony. And this is where I'm trying to get right now. Harmony moves back to simplicity. Harmony says, look, dude, you're looking way too deep at things. You're looking at the molecular level. You got to zoom out and look at a human. Like, if I was looking at a cell or a molecule of Dan, I wouldn't know that I was looking at Dan. I would just be looking at a molecule and picking it apart for whatever that thing is.
You're like, oh, look at all the bush light dripping off this molecule. Weird. I've never seen one like that. Looks like it's just supposed to be here, though. It just looks like it's part of the molecule.
Oh my gosh. He's like lubricated with bush light. But the harmony the problem with harmony is it moves you right back into simplicity. So you're going to move through that cycle a few times. So the reason I bring that up in the context of what we're talking about is that happiness and what we do, I think it's the same thing. We're happy at a simple level. Then it gets a little more complicated, but we can put enough fine print in to make it work. But if you're not careful, your happiness can move into this perplexity. And I think I guess I'm being too philosophical. Let me just say this. It's important to zoom out and then know that when you do zoom out, there's another zoom out that you don't know about yet, and you're going to get back to it. Mm-hmm. And like a tree grows with rings, to get taller, it has to grow wider. And when you meet somebody who is in one of these different ranges, whether it's your spouse or your child or a coworker or a friend, whoever it is, you can't judge someone based on, oh, wow, they look at life too simplistic, or, oh, look at them, they're just writing a bunch of fine print to make whatever they believe, just keep making it true. You keep moving out, and as you get out, you start realizing, I'm in one of those rings right now too. Mm-hmm. But my tree is just trying to grow, and so is theirs. And if you get all caught up in like the world should be a certain way, or why isn't happiness coming to me? I'm doing all the right things. It probably means it's time to zoom out again and look at a bigger picture than you knew was there.
Man, in my radio episode earlier today, I was ranting about social media. I actually have like a whole episode written because we didn't get to any of my bullet points. I had a page and a half of things I like and dislike about social media. A lot more dislikes than likes, as a matter of fact. But I had Twitter on my phone. I had to get it off. I had a terrible interaction over the weekend, political one, and I'm not a political dude. I just got totally trolled into it. And it was so frustrating. I was just like, what a waste of my time. Like, and frankly, like, to be totally honest, the only reason I have Twitter on my phone, I thought I'd use it for business purposes. I don't. I just don't like social media, so I stay away from it. Like, the only time I use it is to do live shows and have fun with people that I like. And I just deleted the app. The only other reason I had it was to like keep track of the Green Bay Cheesehead dudes and like see what they're up to and what they got going on. But seriously, like that was the only reason I still had it on my phone, was like I'd get some like things from them. And usually like I get up, I brush my teeth, I do some push-ups, and then like I sit and flip through my phone and I put my leg up on the toilet to stretch my hamstrings. I have really tight hamstrings. And so like literally like my first 10, 20 minutes, probably 10 minutes in the morning is like checking my trail camera pictures for deer pictures, checking my fantasy football lineup. I try not to like start my day with work. Like I don't want to jump into work.
Dude, you are so Wisconsin.
Yeah, oh my God. No, I don't have a bush light right when I wake up, unless I'm going fishing or something, but only when I'm going fishing. But yeah, so it was just like I just got sucked into this, and I was just like, man, nothing good is going to come from that conversation. Nothing good is going to come from that back and forth. I don't know that this human and I would have this back and forth if it was face to face. I doubt it. I think I would have had the same interaction with them. There's no way they would have said to me what they said, right? Like I was trying to be respectful and open-minded, and they were just coming at me with all sorts of political arguments. And I was like, I'm just not even trying to make this political. All I'm saying is I think it's okay that we got a tax break because I'm putting it back into humans, and I'm pretty sure I can make better investments than the government. That was all I was saying. Like, I think paying the government more money to spend inefficiently is not a great idea. I think I'm better at spending money and investing in people and resources than the government is. That was all I was saying. I think probably all of us on this as business owners would probably agree. Like, we would rather have the money to invest and make people's lives better, and we think we could do a better job than the government. Anyway, and then he got all political about it, which I can see why he would have. Right, like I think he was a communist, honestly. I think he was. He was just like, no, it's very proven that bigger governments create happier countries. And I was just like, is it? Like, and he tried to send me a bunch of data, and I was like, man, I'm a finance guy. You can make data say whatever you want. Like, I'm well aware of that. You want some data? I'll give you some data. But anyway, it was just so clear to me. I was like, this isn't solving anything that I want to solve. Like, there's no joy coming from this. I am conflicted though, because I'm also like, man, if these people out there are that prevalent, like, who's sticking up for us, right? If I'm willing to just cave and let this guy go and like spout off on all this stuff, and I'm not out there saying what business owners need to say, or people that believe the same thing, right? If I'm just willing to hide and not be a voice and just say screw it, whatever, like people of that mind are going to end up running our country, and it's not going to be good for small business owners, and I'm not cool with that. Like, I think small business owners are the lifeblood of the country. I want what's great for us. I think we make a lot of lives better. So anyway, so I was really conflicted, but I was just like, again, and then even that thought process, back to your meditation and like stewing on stuff, right? Is like that night I could hardly fall asleep because my brain was just going on all this stuff, and like I needed to find a way to like to rise above it and like look down at my own thought processes and be like, Dan, shut her down, man. Like, stop stewing about this. That you're not going to solve anything. You're having arguments in your head that you're never going to have again, right? You always have the arguments in your head that you're never actually going to have.
I should have said this.
I've thought of 20 things I should have said to the guy. Too late, I already deleted.
I could have just smacked him.
Oh, I would have had him so good if I would have said that thing. But it is so funny. It's like it takes a little bit. It takes some discipline to be like, this thing that I'm doing, I'm creating my own unhappiness right now. Yeah. Right, like that, like I had that realization. And I was just like, I got to delete this app. Maybe I'll jump back on it in the future. But I was just like, there's just no joy coming from this thing. No joy.
Well, I've cost myself, I'm sure, many, many hundreds of thousands of dollars by being off social media. But my life is just so happy without social media. When I left, I just felt like too many people were getting too close to me with their own agendas and thoughts.
Yeah.
Where I just really prefer to have an organic relationship where information is exchanged in a relational way, as opposed to like this big broadcast that, here's my political beliefs, or here's my daughter buying cookies and I'm going to figure out a way to fight, or selling Girl Scout cookies and we're going to have a fight over that. And I'm going to reach out to this guy on Messenger and he can see he read it. I can see he read it, but he didn't respond. So I'm going to come at him. Oh, he looked at it while he was at church and he didn't respond. But like, just, there were so many little things. And I was like, you know what? This isn't adding value to my life. I think that if I was on social media and really trying to be a boss guy on social media, Responsibid probably would be doing even better. Like it would help our business, but I'm happier.
Yeah. I'm jealous because I'm still on it. And every time I'm on it, I'm just like, I hate this, which is why I actually, so I had to, the fact that I'm still on it, I had to have a little bit of like a little self-reflection of like, why am I on any of social media? Am I a total hypocrite, or are there parts of it that I do like? Right? Because it's easy for me to focus on the negative, and I do have more negative here. I'm not going to read my page and a half of notes because I'm saving that for Turfs Up Radio next week. But I did just write your comment, which I was like, oh, that's a good one, which is too many people getting too close with their own agenda. Totally. I'm just like, why are you pushing your junk on me? Like, I
lead with my agenda, and our friendship will be based on whatever our agendas do or don't line up. Yeah,
I did. So this is kind of along a similar line, and I put it like this. People are posting stuff as if they're answering a question that I never asked. Right? I'm just kind of like, why are you coming at me with that? With your own agenda? Like, I didn't ask you. Nobody asked.
It's not how human interaction is supposed to be. We're emotional beings who are pretending to be logical, and we keep approaching the world like this like logical lens of like, you need to believe what I do, and a man again convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, and we're still like trying to logically like beat each other up. And I think that a lot of the problems we're having in the country probably stem from the fact that we're changing how humans were actually engineered to work together, and we're actually engineering a new way that's, it has some benefits. I like, for example, Brendan Horn, you put a comment up there. I love Brendan and I like being around Brendan.
He loves the honesty and openness right now.
Well, thank you, Brendan. But when I'm around him, I enjoy being around him. But because I'm off social media, I never get to even fake be around him. You put up Steve Jagman, like all sorts of emotions. Teresa and Steve, two of my very favorite humans on this planet. Love it. Rob Anderson, you put up there. I don't get to be around these people very often because I am not on social media. So that's the problem.
I gotta give my boy Jamie Schmidt a shout out.
Jamie Schmidt, there's another guy. I love that guy. So the thing is I love all these people, but I've made a decision that keeps me from even having those other interactions. So when I come on social media, I kind of have the opposite of what you're describing. Is like when I come on, I'm like, oh, I'm on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I should get back on.
Yeah,
That's
I
where
miss these people.
at.
Yeah,
I love these people, but I will say it's a fleeting thought, because it doesn't take long for me to like realize what I traded for what I've got, and I really like what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
But at the live events, it's just that much sweeter when I see Brendan or Steve or Jamie or any of these people.
I do love live. Speaking of live events, let's talk about your live event, rebranded live event. We got the home service workshop coming up.
Yeah.
Is it just rebranded by name, or are you going to change the hacking rooms or anything? Give us the little what's the shift here? What you got going on?
So Responsicon was the Responsibid user conference,
formerly known as Responsicon.
Yeah, and
where you don't bring your beer, not BYOB.
We have some new hacks that you've come up with. So maybe
I don't want to share it because they're probably listening right now. I don't want to tell them. They've been watching me since I left.
Is it the Hopi Nation? I think it's the Hopi Nation. They've infiltrated Facebook.
They're hoping to catch me is what's happening.
Hoping to catch it. So when we designed Responsicon, the idea was it was a user conference, and we came up with some sort of innovative conference techniques. You brought up the hacking rooms. We actually call ourselves now the home of the hacking rooms, because I just know the drill. I've been to enough live events. You go to a live event, you get super pumped up and excited about the stuff you learn there. You write it down in your notebook. You come home with 50 things in your notebook. But while you were gone, your business kept going. And then you get home and you've got this notebook full of ideas, but you can't work on it because you got massive quantities. I don't want to say dumpster fire because like that's a strong word, but I know Josh Latimer always uses that term. Like you can't come back to your business that is like dying for you to get back, and you leave your notebook and you get back to the thick of things and you leave out all of the stuff you did at the conference. So my concept was, let's not just talk about it, let's get it done. Mm-hmm. So turn your to-do list into a done list. And so Responsicon sort of evolved over a few years, and a lot of people started coming that weren't Responsibid users, but lots of people were like, oh, I looked at Responsicon, but I didn't go because I heard it was just for Responsibid users. But it's about customer journey. It's about getting things done in your customer journey. Yes, there were a lot of hacking rooms that worked on Responsibid, but there's still so much. So the idea of a hacking room is, the conference is inspiration, collaboration, execution. So inspiration happens on the main stage, just like any other conference. Then we move into sort of the vendor and the eating areas where it's very collaborative. People are all together. It's very community-based. You're not on your own for lunch. You're going to leave there with friends and people that you've networked with and things like that. And in those settings, you are taking those ideas from the stage or ideas you already came with, the things you want to get done, and you're sort of figuring out who it is that you want to like work with on maybe getting those things done. Hacking room, we now have workshops as well. So a workshop might be like 20, 30 people, more of a classroom style. Hacking rooms are like 5, 6, 10 people who are all working actively on changing something in their business. So these hacking rooms are designed to be able to get you and your guide or whoever's in the room that is sort of leading it or mentoring it to actually get something done. So as an example, you might hear something on a stage that gets you thinking about how your website could be better. Mm-hmm. So you sit down with someone who's professional on websites. Michael Grigory, I know you're good friends with him. Maybe Michael Grigory or someone from the Click Call Sell team sits down with you. They audit your website and say, your website's good, but you're missing this this selling proposition. So what's so unique about you? Well, this is unique about me. Okay, cool. So you go into a room with Brandon Vaughn, and Brandon sits down and talks to you about like, how do you determine what your company values are and what makes your company unique and what stands aside, and how do we phrase that in a way that will be magnetic to your customers? Then you take that to someone who knows ChatGPT and they help you write some copy or a video script. You take that video script into the professional video recording room. You put it on a teleprompter. You read it in the teleprompter with professional video equipment. They give you a USB. You take it to a hacking room. You have it up on your website. And when you get on the plane to go home, you've got a new unique selling proposition, marketing, skeletal structure of all marketing you'll do from this point forward. You've got a video that's already live on your website that tells people why they should choose you. And you go back to your emergencies that you've got to work on, and it's already done.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So we renamed it the Home Service Workshop because now people who obviously don't need to be a Responsibid user are going to get tons of benefit out of it.
Sounds like Santa's workshop. I just picture like a bunch of people making toys, but making business stuff happen. Making software little hacky toys. Maybe hacky sack. Maybe the hacky sack could be your official toy of the convention.
The official toy of the hacking workshop.
Brought to you by hacky sacks. Are hacky sacks still a thing? I haven't seen one in probably 2 decades.
My son brought a hacky sack home and was shocked to know that I knew what it was. So yeah, I think there's still a thing.
Where you're like, that's a hacky sack, period.
Period.
Did I do it right?
No.
Damn it.
No.
Really?
Poor guy. But the problem is you've got a mouthful of Wisconsin. So when you try to kick it out, I think that the shape of your mouth is going to probably restrict it.
Yeah. Because I'm just such a weirdo.
I think your mouth wants to say things with a little more wow to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a lot of wahs.
You don't really have you got to be able to turn it on though at will.
Period.
Right? You can sound like a Wisconsinite anytime you want, can't you?
Yeah. No problem, man. Yeah. We can do that.
Beauty.
What do you want to even talk about? We can get right into it. It's not even a big deal. Where are we going with this thing?
Yeah, your mouth is shaped like a Wisconsinite.
Yeah.
So periodics might not work for you.
What did you say? I can't even. It just sounds like a really fast stutter, like a super fast stutter. I'm just like, wait, there was something extra there, but it happened so fast I didn't even catch it. But I know there was something extra.
I wish my son was in here just so every time I say it, it's like having a little like mini heart attack. I love when stuff like that comes out and he's just like, oh.
Yeah. Oh God, the reaction would be the best part of it.
Yeah.
Well, we're only like an hour and 40 minutes in here, Curt. So let's quick talk about Responsibid and what you guys got going on there. I'll never forget. I don't even remember what I said to give you a hard time, but it was one of my favorite things that I've ever said, which is I think it was the first Responsicon. You were up, you were on the stage. I don't know if it's the first one. It was the one where Bobby and Sid like co-emceed it and they made videos all the time. Maybe that was the second one. And you were up and you were on the stage and you were talking about the new release that was coming, but it was delayed, and it had already been delayed once. And then you said something else and you said something else. And then you said something else. And I was like, oh, you mean like the Responsibid update? And if you were going to swear, that was the time you were going to do it. You didn't. But your face was just like, damn it, that was good, Dan. But I can't believe you just everybody. Like, that was a good joke. And screw you for saying that joke.
Yeah. Dan, you have a way of being very funny, but I would prefer your humor to be aimed in a different direction than me.
I feel that way about Bobby. Like anytime he's having fun at my expense, I'm just like, gosh, you're like really good at this. And I don't enjoy that I'm the target of it.
Who is the one that got targeted with Bobby Walker as it related to a car accident or destroying a car?
I don't know anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been a part of anything along those lines.
Yeah, Bobby was scathing about that one, wasn't he?
He still is. He brought it up to me not long ago. Even so, like it's funny because like anytime he and I get on to do any content together, it comes up and it's like the running joke, right? Which probably
pick a new joke. Pick a new joke, idiot.
Yeah, but like just so everybody knows, when Bobby and I are just talking with the two of us, he still brings it up to me too. Like he just can't let it go. He can't let it go. And I think by now he knows that I didn't do it. I think he actually thought I did. And like I'm 99% sure that it didn't, because I would know if I did. Like, I was in that car, I was the one driving. I would sure as hell know. And like, I don't have that bone in my body. Like, I would just own that. I would own it and be like, yo, Bob, sorry, bro. Like, that would be how I would approach that if I actually had done the damage. But I think for a while he thought I did. And I know why he did, because Ben was with me, and Ben threw me under the bus as if I did it. And then later Ben was like, oh, damn, I didn't think he would take me seriously. Like, now he actually thinks that you did that because I threw you under the bus, thinking he would know I was joking, but he doesn't. And so he thinks you did it. I'm just like, yeah, Ben, it's all your fault, man.
Billy, Bobby is an interesting person for lots of reasons, but let's just narrow the spectrum down to this term of honesty. Bobby has a significant problem with anyone who tells something that's even close to a lie. Like, if you leave honesty and you deviate to possibly misleading someone, that it's outrage for him. He can't handle it.
He's black and white. Yeah, it's got to be all or nothing. He can't leave any stone unturned on it.
Yet his favorite humor is to tell a lie so big that it can't possibly be true and push it.
Yeah.
So the way Bobby met my mom.
Oh, you mean the Hetty story?
Oh gosh, no. That's the one part about Bobby I wish I could somehow erase. I love Bobby, but the Hetty story's got to go.
Oh,
anyway,
no. Favorite it's the only reason I like him.
There you go. So Bobby met my mom while we were in a car together. My mom and I. Oh yes, my mom was coming home from the hospital. She had gone for some sort of little outpatient thing. My dad was having something done, and I was in the waiting room with my mom, and I took her out to go get some lunch. That's what it was. So we leave the hospital. Well, Bobby had just recently met my daughter, Michaela, and Michaela's delightful. She's as good as a human being can be. She raised me. This is how good my daughter is. So Bobby had met her a little while previous to that and met what a delightful person she was. So I'm on Voxer, and I'm talking to Bobby with my mom in the car. And I say, my mom and I are going to go grab lunch. I'll check in with you later. He said, well, real quick before you leave, I need to talk to your mom about your daughter. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, Bobby, this is kind of unlike you to spend a minute bragging about how lucky she is to have a granddaughter like her. And he does. He goes, Mrs. Kempton, I met Michaela, and she is an amazing person. It's been really fun to get to know her. I just can't. The one thing I can't figure out is how in the world you can handle having such a liar for a granddaughter. She's such a liar. And I'm like, what? My mom just goes incensed. Like, that is like, whatever Mama Bear is, Grandma Bear is like twice that, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So my mom is like, who is this son of a god? I'm gonna rip his jugular out and feed it back to him. She is outraged. And I'm sitting there going, Bobby, she's a grandma. Leave her alone. Why do you got to be like this?
Yeah, why do you got to go after grandma?
So my mom rips my phone out of my hand. I don't know who you think you are. My granddaughter would never tell a lie. She is the most amazing and wholesome girl. You wish you could meet someone like my mom is going off. I'm like, Mom, that's how his humor works. It's ironic that he hates lies, but his humor is take the joke so far that it's no longer a lie, and now it's Fantasyland silly shock value. Yeah. My mom cannot grasp this concept. It's like, Mom, just listen to Howard Stern. It's just how this works. But my mom's like, I listen to Howard Stern so she won't know. Anyway, fast forward like 5 years, Bobby meets my mom at a pizza night. I have this brick oven pizza in my backyard, or pizza oven. So we cook pizzas. Bobby's visiting. My mom comes over for pizza night. I'm making a pizza. And Bobby walks in the door while my mom's sitting at the table. And I'm like, oh, crap. I did not calculate for this. My mom knew exactly who he was when he walked in the door, and I just beelined out to the brick oven. I'm like, I got to go check the fire. I got to go cook pizzas. So I leave them alone. They come out holding hands and laughing together. And
Total Bob.
Walker.
Total Bob move.
Yeah.
He's better in person. He's better in person.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. It's like there's some people that have like a face for radio. Bob's got a face for in person.
Yeah.
Or a mentality for in person.
Yeah. He's just such a cuddly teddy bear, but you have to be in his proximity for it to work.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that Brant and Bobby are exactly the same teddy bear person in a lot of ways. Brant at Jill's office. So you got Brant and Bobby, who are polar opposites, and then you meet them in person, and they're almost exactly the same person.
Have you heard like the political spectrum? How I was made aware of this, and I was just like, oh no shit. So like, you know, I think a lot of us are more towards the middle, and maybe more issues based than like I'm left wing or I'm right wing. But it's always the people like left wing or right wing that are like harder left or right that are more vocal about it. So that's who you tend to hear from, and that's the media and blah blah blah. But if you get
because they're on a team, once you're on a team, it's easy to more vocal because you got to pin it and everything. Like I believe everything that the Republicans or the Democrats think. You know.
Yeah. Yep. And so, but as you get even like farther than those wackos, you hit this horseshoe, and it starts all coming back together. And when you get really far right or really far left, it's hard to tell because they're almost the same damn person. Nobody believes in like the societal stuff, right? They don't trust the government. They all have their bomb shelters. They're like don't believe in public education because they're very granola, or they're just very right wing and everything should be privatized. And it's just this super funny thing where it's like the total hippies and the total gun baron, I'm living off the grid. They all end up in the same place back together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're so right.
Yeah, I didn't make it up. This is the thing I was made aware of, and I was like, oh my god, it is like a horseshoe. Like the farther you get from the center, like the more you end up being just like one another, living off.
You know, and I know this podcast probably is not designed for politics, and I'm about as
designed for whatever we want.
Okay, I'm about as least political as they get. I actually find the two political parties, it's gotten to the point where it's actually almost silly. Like, if you believe in this fiscal policy, you must believe in this way that unborn children are treated. And if you believe in the way unborn, that must tell you how you believe about guns and how you believe about, you know, whatever.
Dude,
so
it drives me bonkers.
Yeah, and you have to believe 100% of the stuff in this column in order to fit our kingdom that we have, and for us to lower the drawbridge and invite you in and to call you one of ours. And if you're not on any team, then you know,
then you don't matter.
You don't matter at all. But it's funny, like we believe in God, guns, and religion. We don't believe in giving any handouts to anyone, taking care of them. So anyway, so. The thing that is interesting is as we see what's happening in the country and people picking one side or the other, it's interesting that when you meet people in person and we actually talk to each other like humans, you talk about the horseshoe, like we're actually all really like sensible people. It's when we pull ourselves into this new engineered way of sort of interacting with people that we go, anyone who believes that a woman should not have the right to choose what happens to the baby that's growing in her belly. Anyone who believes differently than me, they have no brain whatsoever. They're idiots. You put all these same people in the room without knowing that, and they get along great, and they actually do have a brain.
They're like, oh, you're a Packer fan? I'm a Packer fan too. We're the best friends ever.
Jesus. Yeah.
It is so funny. Jamie called us out. He's dead on here. He's like, we went from what's going on at Responsibid talking about Bobby Bear. Now we're talking about wackos, which I get that. Responsibid transitions to Bob transitioned to wackos. That's pretty, pretty good. I feel like that's pretty damn good hosting, if I do say so myself right there.
In Jamie Schmidt's defense, if he was on here, I think we could have covered a lot more ground.
We would have skipped over. We would have just blown through some stuff.
I feel that you as a host are doing your job to keep everything broad and having a great time. But I do think that if we could get Jamie into this room, I think we could go further.
We'd be here for another like 3 hours. We just keep this baby rolling. Just keep it rolling. Well, I mean, and you're behind me by an hour, right? I think you guys are mountain time right now. I never know what
9 p.m. here.
Yeah, you guys are the wackos that don't do daylight savings time. Actually, all the rest of us are stupid for doing daylight savings time. You just are like the first the first ones I know of to like not participate, and I'm really jealous. So this is just me being jealous, calling you wackos.
It really is. Let's go on our new subject, daylight savings time. Mm-hmm. It really is the most amazing thing what we're doing. It's not revolutionary. Like I think most of the world doesn't participate in daylight savings time, but gosh, you guys make us feel like we're the crazies in the room. Like, like, oh wait, I'm on Pacific time now. Oh no, I'm back on a Mountain time right now. And I know, but you guys keep calling it Mountain Standard Time or Pacific Daylight Time, but you guys it's always just whatever Pacific time is, it's Pacific Standard Time or PDT. And for me, it matters. Like, are you on PDT or PST? I need to know.
It's funny you bring that up. I was working with some people in India a while back, and they're like, are you on this one or this one? And I was like, well, Central Standard Time, dude. I don't know. And then he's like, no, you're on Central Daylight Time. You're not on Central Standard Time. And I was like, what? There's a difference? I just thought it was always Standard Time.
And all of us are feeling like cuckoo. But because you guys have all the numbers, we feel like the idiots.
Yeah.
And I know what we're doing is right. It's one of those things where in principle, we are right.
It's kind of like the metric system. The metric system makes way more sense. We should just all use it. I don't know why we use the old English system. It's so stupid. The old English system is so stupid. Our Fahrenheit is just dumb as hell.
Did you see that Nate Bargatze Saturday Night Live? Did you see that?
No.
So Nate Bargatze is this really cool, clean comedian. Love the guy. He went on to Saturday Night Live, and he just recently did this bit on. He's George Washington at Valley Forge, and he walks up to everybody and he's like, "You guys,
look at that! It gave you the thumbs up thing. It never does it for me. I think my camera's too stupid. Oh my god!
I got more. So there's this one. Obviously, you just did it. Okay. And then there's this one. Check this out. What? Okay. And then there's.
Why does yours do cool stuff? Mine
doesn't. Is it this? No, that doesn't.
No, you just look like a real moron right now. Yeah. Oh man, that was so. You just ruined it all. Oh
yeah. No. Okay. So.
Oh dang! I thought that was gonna do something really cool.
I thought so too. It does. So. He comes on, Nate Bargatze's George Washington. He's like, it's what we're fighting for, boys. They're like, yeah, but it's so hard. What are we fighting for? And there's one of the guys is the black cast member. He's like, what of slavery? And he's like, we're fighting for our own units of measure. And then he goes through and he starts talking about the ridiculousness of our measurements. And the black guy's like, well, what about slaves? And he turns around, he's like, you asked about temperature. And he's like, no, I didn't. He's like, we're going to use the month, and he goes through Fahrenheit. I'm telling you, look it up. Saturday Night Live, George Washington, dude.
I need to watch that.
It is so funny. Right, so funny.
Like I can picture it. I assume it was Keenan playing the black guy. I hope it was Keenan playing the black guy.
Keenan. I don't know their names. I didn't know Nate Bargatze. He's like my favorite comedian, but. Anyway.
Well, I'll find out. I'll report back if it is or is not Keenan. Okay. I'm already picturing him in that role. He'd play like what? Like what's going on here?
Yeah. That's how he does. What?
What about slavery?
Yeah, it's like you talked about Fahrenheit. No, I didn't. Like, yeah. I think it's the same dude.
Okay, we're hitting that 2 hour mark. What we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we did.
I'm pretty jealous that I can't get my screen. I don't know why.
Yeah. Hold it.
I'm just not cool, man.
So did thumbs up work?
No, nothing works. I suck. I can't do anything.
I like this one. This is my favorite one.
Now you're just rubbing it in, man. Oh, this time it actually went across the screen the other way. I think if you do it with just one hand, it's balloons, right? Balloons come down.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I could teach you something. So
hold on. What if I turn my hand the other way?
Oh, you don't want to know what happens. Yeah, how does it know? How does it know? Maybe it's my hands that are stupid. Maybe it looks at the inside of my hands and it's like, your hands are so ugly. It must be the back of your hands.
I don't know, man. Did it one day.
So give us the dates for Home Service Workshop. What are the dates we're talking about here?
You just got me late at night here. So January 25th through the 27th in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, man.
Indian reservation. Don't bring your own beer in unless you talk to me first.
Homeserviceworkshop.com/don't bring your own beer.
Yeah. What any like plugs? Who's gonna be there? What you got going on? Who's speaking?
Yeah.
Who's on the main stage? What you got up there?
So we've got some pretty awesome speakers. We've got I believe Angela Schroeder is going to do it.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. We're trying to iron out a couple more.
Do you want me to guilt her into it?
Well, she's in Austria right now, and it's making it very difficult to get conversation to go with her. But trying my hardest to guilt her into this.
I got her.
Everyone loves Angela. Brandon Vaughn will be speaking, and I'm really excited about his talk. It's going to be a lot about. He's been really getting into this whole AI hiring and recruiting and all sorts of other stuff with HireBus. He's been really deep into that. Obviously, everyone knows him from Conquer, but he's got some pretty cool stuff. He's going to be sharing about customer journey on the employee side of the customer journey.
Yeah.
We've got Caleb Winiger, who's been going really deep into psychology of buyers, and he's going to be sharing. He's got like a whole dossier he's put together on how people buy and human nature at the time of purchase, what things are appreciated, what things will extinguish the flame. There's a lot of cool stuff he's going to be going over. I am super pumped to hear from Michael Grigory. Now, everyone knows him from Click, Call, Sell, digital marketing and stuff like that. But he's going to be talking a lot about how your brand and your how to differentiate your company, which I think is really important because, yes, it's a marketing principle, but it's also the badge of honor that your employees put on every day when they go out to replicate your mission and values into the world. And it guides so much about what you're doing.
I would argue it's more important on the recruiting side even.
Yeah. I actually, now that I've been so focused on culture, someone earlier, I think it was Brendan, said culture is king. I actually would say that now that I'm more focused on culture, we actually read our mission and values. And there you are right there, Brendan. In fact, we have, let me see if I've got it right here in my drawer. Dang it, I put it in a different spot. I talked to you about winning the culture award as our employees. Mm-hmm. And I took a lot of what you said. We made a whole sticker pack. Each sticker represents one of the prizes that you can win as, winning the loyalty award. We have the giving back award. We have all these different things from our values. We go over our values. We tell stories about our values together, and we actually win awards for personifying the values. And we just rolled out last week this idea of, and at the meeting, having one employee give a story about how these values actually work in their own life, like not work related, because value is something that transcends where you work. It's something you value. Yeah. So surely one of our company values, you value so much. Obviously you wouldn't have been hired if you didn't, live in our values. So let's talk about how you're using these values in your life. And I'm telling you, when you say you would argue that, I would actually say, yeah, I would fight to the death on that, because your people who are going into battle on behalf of the business, they care a lot more about what they're fighting for than those sales that they're making along the way, or the customer experience. Like, the customer experience has many customer experiences throughout many different interactions of different businesses all day. But when you're in the business, you're entrenched in it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah.
Anything cool coming down the pipeline at Responsibid that you guys are working on to off? What you got?
So we just released out to beta a new version of the customer profile that holds all of the bids and all of the client, like all the people that can be associated with the bid and all the properties. And we're rolling out a bunch of new sort of three-dimensional features to mirror more of the CRMs that so for those that don't know, I know you've asked me several times about Responsibid, and we just keep going other places, but you have to have a CRM. You need to have Jobber. You need to have House Call Pro. You need to have Customer Factory. You need to have something that you're holding your customer data, your calendar, all in. The CRM
and if you don't, you're freaking crazy. Go get yourself a CRM.
Yeah, like that's step one.
For the love of God.
And I don't know about you, Dan. I've seen a real uptick in people that are doing like notebooks and stuff to like run their business. You got to have it digital. And right now, you can get so much for so cheap digitally in CRMs. Like, there's just no excuse to not have one. Yeah. Responsibid is the funnel that sits on top of your CRM. So we help you to take all your marketing efforts, throw it into our quoting and proposal builder, and then that will populate inside of your CRM, whatever CRM you're using. If we integrate with your CRM, We automate a bunch of stuff. We make it so that the customer buying journey is really cool and awesome and a sweet experience. But for years, our architecture did not mirror a CRM. So what's in beta right now just rolled out about a month ago. We're pretty happy with it. We're actually, I hesitate to ever give like dates, but January 1st,
there might be some schmuck in the crowd that'll make a joke about it.
Yeah. Well, this is a big architecture change, and it actually does relate back to what you were talking about before about all the big changes that we're making in the background. But this is just one more of those big pieces that essentially will take the customer profile in Responsibid and mirror what you're used to seeing in a CRM, so that when we connect to them, there's like a one-to-one relationship of all the different.
They're speaking the
pieces.
Same language.
Yeah. So I would say right now, if I was in, we've actually been rolling out a ton of stuff lately. It's actually coming out pretty fast. A lot of it is in beta because it's coming into the new architecture, and the new architecture is ready to roll out. We decided not to roll it during the holidays because there's just too much associated with that. It's a bad idea. So after the new year, we're set to roll out some pretty big stuff into Responsibid. And if you are using Responsibid, I think it's going to be not just more powerful, but also more intuitive for people who either did use Responsibid or aren't using Responsibid right now or whatever. I would say right now is a really good time to take a look because there's a lot of hard hitting stuff coming out right now.
That's right. Oh yeah. Well, Curt, we're at the 2-hour mark, man. Who would have thought? We covered so much ground. I'm really glad we had no agenda. Super glad we had no agenda. We would have never been able to cover this much ground if we would have had an agenda.
I could go another 2 hours. I know that we shouldn't, but Dan, this has been absolutely awesome. And I apologize that it's been so long since we've talked. I will do better.
Likewise. It was funny when you reached out to me because I was literally just like, dang, I gotta like check in with Curt. I haven't talked to Curt in forever, and like I got a new podcast. I probably need to like get him on there. And it was within an hour of that conscious thought that I got a message from you. I'm not joking. It was just one of those things where you're just like, oh, the world's weird sometimes about these things.
Dan, let me freak you out a little bit. I wake up at 5:15, 5 maybe 30, I don't know, every morning. And I'm meditating usually by about 5:30, 5:40. So when I reached out to you, I would have started my walk, which would be about 6:45. So literally an hour before when you thought about me, I would have been meditating on that. It sounds like we may have actually been in some weird matrix thinking about each other.
And that is like, I was probably stretching my hammy on the toilet. I mean, I wasn't on the toilet. Like I said earlier, I spend like the first 10 minutes of the day. Like my wife is usually still sleeping. So I'm in the bathroom. I'm checking trail camera pictures of deer pictures because I'm a redneck. I'm looking at my fantasy football team to see how bad I lost, stretching my hammy and like looking at my calendar for the day. Right. And so like, it was at that time where I was like, it was just like this realization of, man, there's just people I need to like reconnect with. And I've like gone through, some new things here and I just got to like reconnect with my favorite people. And then like, I was like, yeah, man, I wonder what the hell Curt's up to. I just haven't talked to him in a long time. And I know he's got the home service workshop, but I haven't talked about that. And then abracadabra. There it was.
Abracadabra, man.
It's weird how that works, but I'm glad it works that way sometimes. I like that.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
Well, buddy, I'm super thrilled to have you on and hang out with you and catch up. I'm super thrilled for home service workshop. Right now, I don't have it on my like list of places because all my weekends are jacked up. Trying to like get my travel schedule down. It turns out when you do have 3 kids, you probably shouldn't travel as much as a guy used to that was named Dan. So I'm trying to like, I gotta get myself all squared away here. But maybe if there's still room, I'll make it down to home service workshop and hang out with you guys and hide my beers so I don't get in trouble.
Oh man, we would love to have you, man. I hope you do. I really do.
For my sake, I hope I do.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think. Just for my sake, I hope I do. Selfishly. But I do care what you think. I
got a spot for you.
All right. Well, I'll follow up with you. I'll follow up with a I'll get permission first because I'm at that level of my.
Wow. Do you do that? You ask permission, huh?
I took a lot of hunting trips this year. Like I took a lot of hunting trips this fall, and I have a lot of fishing trips too. And so I'm trying to, like, tonight actually, my wife went out with one of her friends, and I had the kids and was doing the sports and was making dinner and all that stuff. And like we got home pretty late, and by the time my wife got home to kind of like relieve me so I could jump on here, I didn't have any of the dishes done. Right, like I just had gotten everybody fed and kind of like, okay, potty, wash your hands, brush your teeth, get your jammies on, all that stuff. Like we were going through that, but she kind of had to tap in for like final bedtime and the dishes. And I'm just like, damn it. Like she does 90% of the heavy lifting in our household. She's the breadwinner and she does 90% of the heavy lifting. I'm just like, man, I really get like, I fill up the freezer pretty good. Like I hunt and fish. I provide. I have a
hunting trip is just like a grocery trip. It's essentially a grocery trip for the freezer.
It's a really expensive, long-lasting grocery trip. Super but hey, you know, it's very wholesome food. It's very wholesome food. So it's good. I'm trying to feed my family nothing but the best. I feel like I'm pitching dog food or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I just like, I need to be respectful of that. So I do need to get permission. But I'd love to be there. And maybe if Eric Towers there, we'll throw 100 or 1,000 on black again.
Dude, shout out to Eric Tower for putting 1,000 on black and donating $2,000 to our scholarship fund.
That was so cool. I was just
he's such a stud. Yeah, he's a total stud.
And we almost didn't realize we won. Did you hear that?
Oh, like, no.
Yeah, we like he put it out there and then we're all like joking and looking at each other. And like, I don't know exactly how gambling works because I just don't gamble, but like the play happened. Now here's my sports because I get sports. I don't know gambling, but I know sports. So the play happened and none of us were paying attention. And like the next play was about to start and twice the amount of money was sitting on his spot, but he would have gambled it again if we didn't grab it. So thank God somebody was like, hey, shit, like you got to grab that, man. And so we almost missed the opportunity. Like, I don't know if a black came up again, but we would have gone 2,000 on black and maybe would have made it 4,000. Or no donation, but it was real close. It was within 2 seconds of getting yanked or another play happening and it just being, back rolling the dice again. So it just worked out. It worked out.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
I didn't do nothing. I just was like publicly broadcasting it, which they didn't like that either. They didn't like that I had a phone out there. And
yeah. You can't even have a recording device in there.
Dude, they didn't like me at all. They didn't like me. They don't like people that are cheap about their beer. They don't like people that don't gamble, and I don't gamble. And so I was just like,
they don't like people recording their gambling. No. They don't like people to run an Ocean's 11 scam on the casino like you guys were planning.
We were going like Ocean's 20. There were so many of us. They would have never been able to keep track of us all.
They could have stopped.
Like, all right, Chinese fire drill. Everybody scatter. For $1,000. Everybody get. All right. Anyway,
you've been trying to wrap this up for like 15 minutes. Sorry, man.
Terrible. This is a Wisconsin goodbye. It's a good old Wisconsin goodbye. Tell your moms this is hi. All right, Curt, thanks so much for hanging out, dude. That was awesome. Home service homies, thank you guys for we still got people like watching 2 hours and 8 minutes in. You guys are awesome. I love it. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on the Instacart gram. Check us out in all the cool places. I social media, man. I just smash that button, smash the like, subscribe,
smash the like and subscribe.
Yeah, hit the thing. I'll catch you guys next week. I got to do the social media rant because I didn't on my radio show, Turfs Up Radio. I'm gonna hit this. I don't know if I'll get all this done, but I got a lot of notes here, so I got to do that next week. And then let me see here. Let me see what I think I got somebody lined up. No, I don't. I don't have somebody lined up for next week. I got somebody I need to get lined up for next week. I was going to try to get the guy Cole Sycophus on.
Ooh, he was on earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get Cole on the show at some point in time. He's kind of dodgy. He's like, maybe I can, maybe I can't. So we'll see. We'll find somebody for next week. And if not him, I bet Rob would come on and drink a Busch NA with me since I'm not drinking alcohol. We'll see. All right.
All right, man.
Peace out, y'all.
See ya.
Oh, I got to say my sign off. Work smarter and harder. Go earn some pride. Good night.